Hello, people of YouTube. This is Gray's Guitars. I am Steve Gray. Thank you for watching. This article is hilarious to me, and I'll explain momentarily why this is hilarious to me. So, Gibson files to cancel DiMarzio's PAF and Double Cream pick mark trademarks. The brand is arguing that the marks have become generic after years of use across the industry. So, you know how Gibson was fighting against Dean because they said they had patents or something along the lines of on the body shapes with the V, in the Explorer and the SG and the Dove. Well, this is Gibson basically reaching out to a company and saying, we don't think you should have those patents because we were doing it before you were. But at the same time, Gibson didn't beat them to the patent office. That's essentially what this is. Gibson didn't beat them to the patent office for the double cream pickups and the PAF, and they have to call them something else, or they have to throw in some periods. They got to call them double white, and they are just being a major sore loser. And let me tell you, I love Gibsons, but they got nothing to stand on, at least with the cream pickups. And the reason they have nothing to stand on with the cream pickups is because yes, they were doing that, but they weren't doing it intentionally. They were covering everything. Pretty much, I think, up until like the 70s, you didn't really see an uncovered pickup. You know, that's when artists started buying the 20-year-old guitars because they were cheaper and popping the pickup covers off of them because they thought it gave them a slightly different sound. And sometimes you got two blacks, sometimes you got two whites, sometimes you got a black and a white. And Gibson didn't really care. They weren't, purposefully matching them under the pickup covers because they figured no one was going to take the pickup covers off. And they were wrong. Tinkerers do what tinkerers do. So let's go ahead and read a little bit more of this. So, Gibson has filed a legal request to cancel 2 of DiMarzio's trademark patents. And if you don't know what DiMarzio is, DiMarzio is Super Distortion. They were like the first ever aftermarket pickup. I mean, I don't know if they were the actual first one, but if not, they were really close. So the term PAF and double cream design of an uncovered humbucker with 2 cream-colored bobbins. So the bobbin, for those of you that don't know, that's the plastic piece that the metal screws and the pole pieces go in, that the wire gets wrapped around. So how did we get here? So PAF, or patent applied for pickups, are associated with Gibson guitars dating back to the 1950s. So how did DiMarzio come by the PAF trademark? While the patent applied for sticker was found on Gibson humbuckers until 1962, and they're on a lot of them now, even the reissues. These originals weren't marked PAF, P.A.F, or PAF, or really marketed at all. The idea of selling a pickup by itself was an aftermarket upgrade wasn't really established until the 1970s, when Larry DiMarzio expanded his business for a few mail orders to a widely distributed brand with celebrity endorsements and magazine adverts. You can think, I'm trying to think of a handful of artists that use a Super Distortion. I know Ace from Kiss uses them. It was Ace Frehley. I believe it's Frehley. Mixing up the name there, possibly. So in 1978, DiMarzio, the company, was granted the trademark for the colloquial shortening PAF in reference to the electronic sound transducer for picking up the sound of a guitar and a sound amplification system. In non-legalese, a pickup. The trademark claims a first use in commercial of 1976. So Gibson essentially had, 2 decades to make a patent for it and just didn't. So there's that. Implying that the patent applied for a sticker on the back of already fitted humbuckers were, at the time, in the eyes of the trademark office, legally distinct from DiMarzio, early aftermarket units aiming to replace that sound. So, Gibson has still been using that PAF sticker forever. It's not something DiMarzio ever was like, hey, you can't do that. I don't think I think they even have some pickups that they call PAFs. Maybe not. It could be like, I guess, Custom Bucker, 490R, 498T, 57 Classics, 61, 491, 500T. I guess maybe they don't actually call them PAFs, but have the sticker on the thing. DiMarzio's double cream trademark isn't a word mark. Instead, it covers a double design of a pickup, i.e. an open humbucker, with both bobbins being the color yellow, which resembles the distinctive shade of cream. This trademark was granted in 1981, with its first use in commercial listed as 1974. The earliest DiMarzio pickup, the Super Distortion, was sold in the open bobbin double cream format. But while the mark was granted, the Super Distortion wasn't the very first double cream pickup in the world, depending on the brand supplies of bobbins at the time. Uncovered Gibson pickups came with a mix of black, black and cream or zebra, and double cream. But again, DiMarzio being granted the mark implies that the trademark office did not see a conflict there. So also, they were covered. They weren't meant to be seen initially. The PAF thing, maybe I can understand a little bit, but it wasn't like Gibson was advertising everything as a PAF anyway. So Gibson's cancellation case claims that both the PAF and double cream marks owned by DiMarzio no longer apply, makes the following argument. So before we start that, they can still use double cream. They can still use kind of PAF, they just have to call it something else. That's all there is. Gibson actually, I think currently on the Gibson website, if I remember correctly, there is actually something, they call it double white or something. So you can trademark, you can't trademark a color, but you can trademark the name of the color. Like for instance, like something like Hot Rod Red. Another company can use Hot Rod Red, but they can't call it Hot Rod Red. They got to call it like Fiesta Red, Ferrari Red, Crazy Sparkly Red, something along those lines. So it's not something you can't use, you just have to call it something else. So Gibson's takes priority over DiMarzio for both marks because it was selling guitars with a double cream humbucker and using patent applied for before DiMarzio was even founded. This is something they should have done 40 years ago. When DiMarzio filed for the trademark, it didn't own the double cream design or the phrase patent applied for. Because many other brands, Gibson included, have marketed both double cream humbuckers and PAF style humbuckers in the years since, the design and the word mark are now both generic and therefore not trademarkable. Gibson's case cities a huge variety of brands, from budget maker sellers on Amazon to Wilkinson to Seymour Duncan. Cream is a common color for guitar plastics, yes it is. Picksguard, switch tips, plastics, all around. Guitarists modify an instrument will want all of their guitar plastics, including both humbucker bobbins, to match. Therefore, the design of the double cream pickup is functional and therefore not trademarkable. And yet again, you can still do a double cream. You just can't call it double cream, to my knowledge. You have to call it something else. You have to make it maybe a slightly different shade, I would say, if I remember correctly, because you really don't see, until recently, you really haven't seen anything with the double cream. And I can actually see here, let's do Gibson double white pickups. Let's see what happens when I do that. Yeah. So actually Gibson does offer a 57 Classic in what they are calling as double white. So that is definitely cream, but yet again, they are calling it something else. I'm actually wondering if Seymour Duncan has some double white pickups. Let's see here. Do they have anything that's double white? They may not have anything that's double white, because, you know, if it's anything where you're afraid... Oh, yeah, they do right there. There's some double white Seymour Duncans, too. You just don't see them that often. But let's go back over here. So, PAF mark is a deceptively misdirective in that because the guitar industry associates the PAF pickups with Gibson, DiMarzio trademark is deceiving buyers into thinking Gibson has sanctioned its products in some way. Why does it matter? They're both made in the U.S. anyway. Well, I think they are. They're assembled in the U.S. I don't know if the parts are physically made here. So at the time of the filing, DiMarzio was aware that Gibson was the owner of the double cream design in the PAF term in relation to pickups, therefore it committed fraud on the U.S. trademark office when it filed for those two trademarks. Too bad. Too bad, man. The Gibson got the short end of the stick. DiMarzio beat you to it. That's what it is. You had a minimum, PAF double cream, minimum 25 years to get that bad boy in place, and you didn't. You chose not to trademark it because they were both hidden. So the PAF sticker was hidden unless you physically popped the pickup out of the guitar, rather. And the color of the bobbins was also hidden unless you had a soldering iron or, got a hot knife or something and popped the pickup covers off. So they never bothered doing it because they didn't think it's something that people would look at. It wasn't actually advertised like the brand. So Gibson case was filed last month and has accepted as a case on the 4th of December. So Looks like DiMarzio is yet to reply, but has till the 13th of January to do so. So they got about a month. So Gibson declined to comment. The following, when approached by Guitar.com for comment, DiMarzio did not reply either, which makes sense when you're talking with lawyers. Shut your mouth. That is a good rule of thumb. If Gibson is successful and DiMarzio marks are canceled, it seems unlikely that Gibson will file for an equivalent trademark of its own, mainly because it already argues that the marks are generic. So that's kind of like the body shapes now in the U.S. Like the headstocks in the U.S. are trademarkable, but the body shapes are not. That's why you can still have like a Dean V, that they do still exist, but with a different headstock shape. So let's see here. If this argument is successful, it would complicate any application to trademark the same thing. In any case, the stage is set for another legal battle for Gibson. Yeah, Gibson loves its legal battles. So it is what it is, you know. Gibson is still using double white. It's basically just a name thing. Like, you can still create these things. You can still do the double white. I know it's technically whatever, cream, humbucker. And you can put a PAF on there, but you got to call it something else, essentially. And Gibson has continued, because if I can guarantee you, I should pull a pickup out of one of my Gibsons and figure out if it actually has PAF on the back of it or not. I'm pretty sure it does. I know I pulled it, my one Gibson. I definitely had it on one of them. I think one of them fell off and the other one had it. Or it might say patent applied for. It might be all spelled out or something. But I don't think they really have any ground to stand on. I think they just didn't apply for the patent when they should have, and it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm going to keep you updated on the story, because Gibson just loves suing everybody. They're not really suing anybody in this case, but they're basically saying that trademark should no longer exist because it's a generic term. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you're talking, it's been at this point like, what, 50 years, I want to say? 1975 somewhere, 1974. Let's see, 1974 plus 30 is 2004. Another 20 years would be, okay, so 49 years. Soon to be 50 years at this point. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. And as always, have a good one.